The Arizona sun painted canyon walls amber as Jack Morrison adjusted his worn gloves, preparing for another day of logging. At 42, his weathered face showed 20 years in these mountains. The Forest Service contract meant 3 months of steady work, enough to heat his cabin through winter. As he parked near Copper Canyon's edge, a faint voice drifted up from below. Jack killed the engine and listened intently. "Help! Someone help me!" The desperate cry echoed off red rock walls. Jack grabbed binoculars and scanned the canyon floor. There, on a narrow ledge 40 feet down, sat a teenager waving frantically. Dark hair, torn clothes, obvious distress. "Hey," Jack called down. "Are you hurt? I can't get out. I've been here since yesterday." Jack's mind raced. The nearest ranger station was 30 miles away. By the time he returned with help, the desert heat could prove fatal. "What's your name?" "Tommy. Tommy Begay." "Okay, Tommy. I'm Jack. I'm coming down, but stay calm and do exactly what I tell you." Jack secured climbing rope to his truck's trailer hitch, testing knots with his weight. 20 years of rigging had taught him to trust his work, but lives depended on it now. The descent was treacherous. Canyon walls alternated between solid rock and loose shale that crumbled under his boots. Halfway down, he got his first clear look at Tommy Begay, maybe 16, lean build, alert eyes despite exhaustion. "You okay?" Jack asked, reaching the ledge. "My ankle's messed up," Tommy replied, showing significant swelling. "Twisted it when I fell." Jack examined the injury. "Sprained badly, but not broken. How'd you end up here?" Tommy looked embarrassed. "Following a hawk. My grandfather said hawks lead you to important discoveries. I got too close to the edge trying to see where it went." "Your grandfather sounds wise. What was his name?" "Joseph Begay. Everyone called him Joe. He raised me after my parents died in a car accident when I was 8. Tommy's voice carried deep respect and recent grief. "He passed away last month. I was hiking to some ruins he showed me, trying to remember him." Jack felt something shift in his chest. This wasn't just a reckless teenager. This was a kid grieving his only family, seeking connection to his heritage. "I'm sorry about your grandfather," Jack said, fitting a harness around Tommy's chest. "We're going up together. I'll do the work, but push off the wall with your good foot when I tell you." The ascent took 20 grueling minutes, Jack's arms burning as he supported both their weights. When they finally reached the top, both collapsed in exhaustion. "We need to get you to a hospital," Jack said. "I don't have insurance," Tommy said quietly, "and no one to call." Jack looked at this kid, alone, injured, grieving, and made a life-changing decision. "Don't worry about that now. Let's get you taken care of." At Globe Regional Medical Center, Dr. Sarah Martinez confirmed a severe sprain requiring several weeks of recovery. When the clerk asked for emergency contacts, Tommy quietly provided Jack's information. "Where will you stay during recovery?" Dr. Martinez asked. "This injury needs rest and monitoring." Tommy's eyes dropped. "My grandfather's old place on the reservation. It's isolated, no phone. Nearest neighbor 5 miles away." Jack watched the teenager struggle with his situation. No family, no support system, facing weeks of limited mobility alone. The practical part of his mind listed reasons to stay uninvolved, but something deeper recognized Tommy's quiet dignity. "You could stay at my place," Jack heard himself say. "I've got a spare room, and I could use help with light work, sorting equipment, maintaining tools." Tommy looked up in surprise. "I couldn't impose." "It's not imposing if I'm offering." The drive to Jack's cabin wound through beautiful Arizona country. Tommy pressed his face to the window, taking in pine forests and meadows where elk grazed. "This is incredible," he said. "Grandfather would have loved this area." Jack's cabin sat in a pine clearing, simple but comfortable. As Tommy settled on the couch, Jack prepared lunch and listened to him call someone at the reservation. "That was Mrs. Yazzie, my old English teacher," Tommy explained. "She's been checking on me since grandfather died. She said if you turn out to be an axe murderer, she knows where to find you." Jack laughed, his first genuine laugh in months. Over lunch, Jack appreciated Tommy's quiet intelligence. The teenager asked thoughtful questions about forest management and demonstrated deep understanding of environmental stewardship. Grandfather taught me that taking from the land is okay as long as you give back more than you take, Tommy explained. That's exactly the philosophy behind responsible logging, Jack replied. Over the following days, they established a comfortable routine. Each morning, Jack prepared breakfast while Tommy sorted tools, despite his mobility limitations. The teenager proved remarkably helpful, possessing intuitive understanding of mechanical systems. This bearing's shot, Tommy observed, examining a chainsaw part. Grandfather taught me that metal talks if you know how to listen. How did he know about mechanical work? He fixed everything on the reservation, said it was part of being self-sufficient. Tommy drew philosophical connections between mechanical work and community roles that impressed Jack. Their evenings were spent cooking and talking, conversations ranging from practical matters to deeper discussions about life and purpose. I've been thinking about what to do after my ankle heals, Tommy said one evening. Mrs. Yazzie thinks I should consider college. What interests you? Working with my hands, solving problems, but also helping my people. There's so much need on the reservation. Those don't have to be separate goals, Jack replied. Engineering, environmental science. There are programs designed for people who want to solve real-world problems in their communities. 2 weeks later, their quiet evening was interrupted by a tribal police car. Officer Daniel Benally stepped out, a tall, graying man with assessing eyes. That's Officer Benally, Tommy said. Grandfather's friend. Benally approached with measured steps. Tommy, Mrs. Yazzie asked me to check on you. As they settled on the porch, Benally conducted what felt like a gentle but thorough interview. His questions were casual but comprehensive. Tommy's grandfather was one of my closest friends, Benally explained. Joe asked me to watch over the boy. I take that responsibility seriously. I understand, Jack replied. I'd asked the same questions. Before leaving, Benally pulled Jack aside privately. That boy's been through more loss than most adults face. Joe saw something special in Tommy, said he had potential to be a great leader with the right guidance. What are you saying? Maybe you showing up at that canyon wasn't just luck. Tommy needs someone who believes in him. From what I've observed, you might be that person. As Benally drove away, Jack stood under Arizona's star-filled sky, thinking about college applications and the future a determined young man might build with proper support. Jack, Tommy said one evening, why are you doing all this for me? I want complete honesty. Jack paused, considering. When I found you, I just wanted to get you safe. But as I got to know you, I saw something special. And honestly, having you here reminded me what I was missing, the satisfaction of helping someone grow, being needed. So we're helping each other. Exactly. Not family by blood, but by choice. Tommy's eyes brightened. Grandfather said the Creator puts people in our path when we need them most. The morning Tommy discarded his crutches marked a turning point. Jack watched him test his weight on the healed ankle, relief and joy unmistakable on his face. Want to come to the work site today? Jack asked. Light duty, but you could learn about selective cutting practices. Tommy's face lit up. I'd love to see the actual operation. At the cutting area, Jack explained sustainable forestry principles. You can't just look at individual trees. You have to consider how each cut affects the complete forest system. Tommy proved invaluable as an assistant, moving through the forest with natural Apache grace, understanding ecosystem relationships intuitively. Grandfather taught me everything in nature is connected, Tommy said during lunch. Take only what you need. Always leave something for the next generation. Modern forestry has finally caught up to what indigenous people always understood, Jack replied. Forest Ranger Lisa Chin arrived to check Jack's progress. Impressed by his selective cutting, she noticed Tommy's natural understanding of forest ecology. Are you considering a forestry career? She asked Tommy. Maybe. I want to protect the environment while supporting local economies. We need people who understand conservation and development don't have to oppose each other. Chin handed him a business card. Consider our student internship program. Over the following weeks, they researched college options seriously. Tommy's grades were excellent, and his unique background made him attractive to several programs. The tribal council had an education fund, and Chun provided information about Forest Service internships. I've been accepted to Northern Arizona University's Environmental Science program, Tommy announced, holding up an acceptance letter. With the scholarship and tribal funding, I could manage it. Jack felt pride mixed with apprehension. College meant months of separation. The cabin would feel empty without Tommy's presence. That's incredible news, Jack said. Your grandfather would be proud. I'm scared about leaving everything familiar, being away from people who care about me. Fear is natural when facing something important, Jack replied. The question is whether you let it stop you or use it as motivation. Will you still be here when I come back? This will always be your home, Tommy. College doesn't change that. As summer progressed and Tommy prepared for departure, their relationship deepened. They spent long evenings discussing everything from dorm life to deeper questions about identity and purpose. Grandfather said education should make you more yourself, not less. Tommy reflected. He worried I might forget who I am. The Tommy I know would never forget that, Jack replied. College will give you tools to honor your grandfather's memory in ways he never imagined. Officer Benali visited again, bringing Mrs. Yazzie and community members for an impromptu celebration with traditional foods and stories under the stars. Your grandfather spoke of you in dreams before he passed, Mrs. Yazzie told Tommy. He said someone would come to help you find your path. I never expected it to be a lumberjack who found me at the bottom of a canyon, Tommy said with a laugh. The Creator works in mysterious ways, she replied. The night before Tommy's departure, they sat on the porch one last time. The stars shone brilliantly overhead, and the forest hummed with quiet sounds. That day in the canyon, when I heard your voice, I thought I was hallucinating, Tommy said quietly. You didn't just save my life. You gave me a life worth living. You've given me just as much, Jack replied. You've reminded me what it means to be needed, to have purpose. So we really are family now. We really are. 2 years later, Jack stood at the same canyon where he'd first heard Tommy's voice. But this time, Tommy stood beside him along with high school students from San Carlos Reservation. The young man who had once been trapped was now leading his own environmental education program. This is where Mr. Morrison saved my life, Tommy told the students with quiet authority. But more importantly, it's where I learned that family isn't just about blood. It's about people who believe in you. The students listened respectfully as Tommy explained forest ecology and sustainable resource management. Jack watched with pride as his adopted son demonstrated the leadership qualities his grandfather had foreseen. The old Apache way teaches us to think 7 generations ahead, Tommy continued. Every decision should consider how it affects our great-great-great-great-grandchildren. Tommy's transformation over 2 years had been remarkable. College had given him confidence and clarity about his goals. He'd excelled in environmental science while maintaining strong connections to his Apache heritage. The tribal council approved my proposal, Tommy announced during their lunch. They want me to develop a comprehensive environmental management plan for the reservation after I graduate. Your grandfather would be so proud, Jack said. I couldn't have done this without you, Tommy replied. You gave me the confidence to dream bigger than I thought possible. The Forest Service internship had exceeded expectations. Tommy had worked on reforestation projects, combining traditional Apache knowledge with modern scientific techniques. His supervisors had offered him a permanent position upon graduation. The university wants me to present my research at a national conference, Tommy said, pulling out an invitation, about combining traditional ecological knowledge with contemporary forest management, everything you and grandfather taught me. This is incredible, Jack said, feeling pride surge through him. I want you to come as co-presenter, Tommy said. Your practical experience is just as important as my academic research. I don't know if I'm qualified. You're more qualified than anyone, Tommy replied firmly. Grandfather would have recognized you as a true steward of the land. That evening, they prepared dinner in their familiar rhythm. Jack reflected on how dramatically his life had changed since hearing that voice from the canyon. I never thanked you properly, Jack said, for teaching me how to be part of a family again. Grandfather always said the Creator has a plan, even when we can't see it. Tommy smiled. After dinner, they walked to the porch where they'd shared so many conversations. The Arizona night was clear and cool, stars brilliant overhead. Mrs. Yazzie says the whole community considers you family now, Tommy said. You've got an open invitation to any tribal gathering. That means a lot, Jack replied, genuinely touched. She thinks Grandfather sent you to that canyon. Says it's too much coincidence that you were there exactly when I needed help. What do you think? I think it doesn't matter how we found each other, Tommy said. What matters is what we've built together. Tommy suddenly reached into his jacket, pulling out a small leather pouch the medicine bundle Officer Benali had given him. Tommy, I can't take that. It was your grandfather's. He would have wanted you to have it, Tommy said firmly. Medicine bundles should go to people who understand their responsibility to protect and guide others. You've been doing that for 2 years. Jack accepted the bundle with trembling hands. The leather was soft and warm, worn smooth by years of handling. He understood he was being entrusted with something sacred. Thank you, he said quietly. I'll take good care of it. I know you will. Whatever happens, Tommy said as they prepared to go inside. You'll always be my father in every way that matters. Not because you had to be, but because you chose to be. The feeling's mutual, son, Jack replied. The word feeling as natural as breathing. As they turned off the lights, Jack understood their story had come full circle. What began as a rescue had become a family, and what started as temporary had become permanent. The young Apache who had followed a hawk to a canyon's edge had found his path, guided by his grandfather's wisdom and a man who became his chosen father. The solitary lumberjack had discovered that his most important work wasn't cutting trees. It was helping a remarkable young man become the leader he was meant to be. In the Arizona night, with stars overhead and forest peaceful around them, both men slept with contentment that comes from finding something precious. A family built not on obligation but on love, respect, and the simple decision to care for each other when it mattered most. The canyon remained unchanged, its red walls standing eternal. But the lives it brought together were forever transformed, understanding that sometimes the most important rescues save not just lives, but souls. 5 years after graduation, Tommy Morrison stood before the United Nations Environmental Council in New York, his official hyphenated surname honoring both his Apache heritage and his chosen father. The small medicine bundle Jack had given him years earlier rested safely in his jacket pocket as he addressed world leaders about indigenous conservation practices. Traditional ecological knowledge isn't just history, Tommy told the assembly. It's the future of sustainable development. My grandfather, Joseph Begay, taught me that we must think 7 generations ahead. My father, Jack Morrison, showed me that family transcends blood. It's about choosing to care for each other and the world we share. In the audience, Jack wiped away tears of pride. At 50, he'd returned to school himself, earning a degree in sustainable forestry. Together, they'd founded the Begay Morrison Institute for Indigenous Environmental Studies, bridging traditional Apache wisdom with modern conservation science. Back in Arizona, their expanded family gathered for the annual canyon ceremony. Tommy's wife, Dr. Maria Santos Begay, a fellow environmental scientist, held their newborn daughter, while Officer Benali, now retired, shared stories with neighborhood children. Mrs. Yazzie, though elderly, still insisted on bringing traditional foods to every gathering. The cabin had grown into a small compound. Tommy's house sat on the hill Jack had suggested years ago, close enough for evening conversations, but far enough for independence. Between the buildings, a workshop buzzed with activity as reservation youth learned sustainable forestry techniques. Grandfather would be amazed, Tommy said that evening as 3 generations sat on Jack's original porch. His infant daughter, named Josephine after her great-grandfather, slept peacefully in his arms. He'd be proud, but not amazed, Jack replied, now a grandfather himself. He knew what kind of man you'd become. He just needed someone to help you see it. As stars emerged over the Arizona landscape, the sound of young voices drifted from the workshop where teenagers worked on forest management projects. The canyon rescue that had begun their journey was now legendary among the students, a reminder that help often comes from unexpected places. What do you think the hawk was really leading me to that day? Tommy asked, watching his daughter sleep. Jack smiled, remembering the scared young man he'd pulled from a canyon ledge. Maybe it was leading you to family. Maybe it was leading you to your purpose. Or maybe, he paused, looking at the thriving community around them, it was leading you home. In the distance, a hawk circled lazily in the evening sky, its cry echoing off familiar canyon walls, a sound of continuity, of tradition passed down, and of new generations ready to carry wisdom forward into an uncertain but hopeful future.